All right, guys and girls, let's move on with our next phenomenal speaker, change maker, impact catalyst, and catalyst of change. This next beautiful speaker, we've been friends for a few years. We met while I was speaking at an event in the UK, and we just connected. You know, when you connect with someone and you know there's something super, super special about them. Well, that's what happened when I met the amazing Pollie Rafferty. She supports entrepreneurs all over the world to get those stories from being buried to brilliantly out there in the world shining. Imagine if you could take that story inside of you and leverage it in a bigger way. Well, that's what Pollie does with people all over the planet, and you could be next. So let's get her up onto the amazing, amazing Catalyst of Change stage. Pollie! Woo! Oh my gosh. So you are currently in a hotel, having been nominated for 2 awards, and you've done that last night, and so we're kind of grabbing you before you travel to the other end of the country on your next assignment. Thank you for taking the time to be with us today. Pollie, there will be people that are tuning in that maybe have not met you before, they might not have heard of you before, but I want to launch this interview with your quote, actually, because I love the quote that you've shared with your chapter. Your story is like a dandelion seed. Once set free, you don't know where it will land or where it will germinate into something powerful. Pollie, tell us why that quote and why the dandelion, because I know that's very connected to you.
I adore dandelions. They're a much maligned flower. They are so medicinal. They're every single part of the dandelion is useful. So every part of your story is useful. They can grow anywhere. They're so resilient, and they just you see them germinating in the hardest, most difficult parts of the concrete in any little crack they've got, and that's what your story's like. It will go past from person to person, and it will stick with the person that needs it, even though they don't know that they need it, and it will sit there and it will wait until it can germinate and build into something that is actionable, or you need it when you finally go into that situation that you've heard a story about. There's so many stories out there about overcoming breast cancer or overcoming domestic violence and things like that. And those are the stories that need to be told, so that they can sit there like a dandelion seed and germinate in people's minds, ready for if they ever encounter that sort of a situation. That's why I love the dandelions, and they just fly, and then you pick it and you send it again and it goes away. And they're all the seeds of the dandelion, they're all the same, they're all cloned. So they're just clones of each other. So it's like you're sending out that flower, that's that story. And then when you pick a new dandelion and somebody blows that one, somebody else is passing on your story. And it's just a beautiful way of thinking of things going out. And they're the first bouquet you get as a parent from your child, or that you to a parent, is a bouquet of dandelions. It's always the same. So it's a symbol of love as well that is just so special. And I just love it. I've got them all over my head. I'm actually wearing a top with dandelions on right now.
I love it. And I've never, ever connected dandelions. None of us will ever see dandelions in the same way again. And I love that, because your story literally does have the power to be that seed that somebody plants in somebody else's heart, which started with you, and that makes that impact on that person. And then they go and blow that seed of that story to somebody else. And if you think of all the tales and the stories that we've grown up through our lives as children, and our parents are telling us, and then we go on to tell our own children, and they tell their children, there are stories that are centuries old, yet they started with that first so powerful. And you've spoken at some of our events as well, sharing some of those story tales, and you think, wow, because we just grow up with them, we're kind of unconscious of the fact that that came from someone's heart originally, and think of all the hearts that's been planted in ever since. And that's what you're really all about, isn't it? It's not just telling any story, it's telling the story that's going to reach someone's heart. And for those of you, whether you're in a professional capacity working for somebody else's organization, maybe the organization you're working for is the catalyst and you are the catalyst within that organization, or you might be an aspiring entrepreneur or somebody that has an established business. No matter where you are in your career journey or your business journey, stories sell. And you might be selling yourself, or you might be selling a product or service, but stories are the fundamental part of it that really plant that trust currency in someone's heart. Tell us about that kind of storytelling journey, because I remember years ago watching all the speakers on stage, knowing that I was going to need to speak, thinking, I don't really have a story. Like, I haven't been homeless. I haven't had all the kind of rags to riches thing. I don't have that. So I obviously don't have a story. There will be people watching this that are thinking the same thing. What would you say to all of us that have been thinking that?
I would say that everybody has a story. It's just finding it, because we've lived that experience. We don't see it as anything special because we've got over it. We've overcome it. I didn't think I had a story for years and years and years until I started to share my mental health journey with people, and people started to react to that. So I'm so glad you shared that with me, because I don't feel so alone anymore. There's somebody else out there. And I started to think about how my life has developed and all the things that I've overcome. We've all got a pathway. We've all got a journey that we've been on that takes us through to where we are now. And each of those hurdles we've overcome, and we've learned, and we've put things in our toolbox. And sharing our story will help equip other people with some of those tools. And it's the simpler stories that need to be told more, because the rags to riches stories, all of these, they're motivational stories. But what we have are inspirational stories. And with inspiration comes motivation. And not everybody wants to climb Mount Everest or make $1 million in their business. Some people are just happy going from day to day. And at the end of the day, the only thing we're striving for is happiness. And if we can guide someone on their journey to happiness by sharing a story, then that is part of our life journey fulfilled, because it's just all about supporting each other. And by sharing the smaller stories, the little ones that people might not think are important are the ones that will resonate mostly with most people, because those are the ones that they will have experienced or could possibly experience. So those are really, really important stories. It's just finding the right one for your audience and the right one for your client.
And I think when you don't have that story, it naturally creates nerves, doesn't it? You know, for those of you that, I mean, you all of you, all of us, whether you're a leader in a company, the leader of your own company, or the leader of your family, stories is what builds bonds. It creates connection. When you're in a situation where you're meeting someone for the first time, it's the story that they're interested in. You know, when we get into an Uber or anywhere that we are, it's like one of our first questions is, hey, what's your story? We're just so interested and intrigued by that. And I think as a human race, we're also intrigued by that. But I also, from all the work that we do, see a massive amount of fear when it comes to sharing the story. You talk about this in your chapter. You say fear of rejection, failure, and vulnerability are all part of the fear of public speaking. The fear of standing out, forgetting what you're going to say, or looking foolish often stops people from harnessing the power of public speaking and storytelling. Many people tell me they don't have a story, or that their life isn't interesting enough, but everyone has a story. So if you want to work on your own story to get your message out there in a bigger way, here are 4 tips to help you find your individual voice. And then you go into the tips that you give, and you've given a brilliant activity for people to do in the book. So guys and girls, make sure you do go and buy the book. I'm going to get that, get the plug up there for the book right now. Is the, it's because it's trying to edit it. The Catalyst of Change. Here we go. If you haven't bought the book yet, do go to the link that's on the screen right now, the impactcatalyst.com/change. What that will do is enable you to not only buy the book that launches today, but you'll also get all the bonuses that come with it. There, each of the authors are donating an hour of their time to come and deliver a workshop all throughout next year. We're going to be running 2 workshops a month for you to come and actually work directly with myself and all of the authors on each of the topics that we talk about in the book. So Pollie, when it comes to fear, I remember that time when I felt so fearful of getting up in front of people and actually sharing my story. What would you recommend to people? I know you've got your activity in the book, but outside of that, what would you recommend when you've got a client in front of you that says, Pollie, I know I need to tell my story, but I break up into a cold sweat when I even think about standing in front of the audience. What would you say to those people?
Well, I'd say it's completely normal. My biggest tip is in the book, so I'm not going to give that away right now. But practice. Just getting it out there and being comfortable with it. Never tell a story you're uncomfortable telling. It has to be one that you're fully comfortable telling. And as you tell it, you will become more comfortable telling more. Somebody said something to me yesterday at the event that I was at, and we were talking about storytelling and things. And she said to me, she says, I heard this thing. She couldn't remember where she heard it from, but she passed it on to me. Typical dandelion, passed it on. She heard this thing. You can't truly heal until your story's been heard. And I absolutely love that. And it is part of the healing journey, because the more you tell it, then the more you become comfortable with it, the more you can move on from it. So just practice telling the story. Do it in a video. You could set up your own little group on Facebook and not publish it to anybody. And you could just go online to yourself and record yourself, and then play it back, and you'll just get more and more comfortable with hearing your own voice, with what you've got to say. I feel nervous still every time I get on stage, because I still have those fears. I still have those worries. Am I going to remember anything? Am I going to forget something? You know, and you do sometimes, but that's what a pause is for. And they're the magic in the storytelling. But I'm not going to say any more. I'm going to leave it all for you to find out in the book.
A nice little plug there, like get the book. But I would say to those of you that know somebody who is going to need to share their story, if you know other entrepreneurs or business owners and you want to pay it forward to them, I just think that the greatest trust currency is in sharing things that really help people to move forward. I buy books for people all the time, and we meet people all the time, and I say, give me your address, I'm going to send you a book, because I think it's really powerful to receive something like that from somebody that, even if you don't know them, and especially when you don't know them, now you're going to rent a space in their head for the rest of their life. So go buy the book for other people, buy some copies, sign them, send them off to the people that you really want to support in moving forward. Seriously, people that do that for me, I remember them for life, and I have so much positive attachment and association to that person, which is what brand is, isn't it? So for those of you that are building a personal brand, where you're elevating your authority, where you want to maybe rise in your company, or you want to be the one who rents a space in everybody's head, telling a powerful story that really connects with where they want to go, not just where they are, because where they are is usually fairly stark, or a place where they don't want to be anymore. But when you think about what it is, what journey it is you want to take that person on that you're talking to, Polly, what's the best way? Is it to start with the end in mind and then come back to the beginning? Is it just to get the story out and then kind of attach it to the things that you want to drive people towards, you know, whether that's, you know, wanting somebody in your company to recognize you or wanting your dream clients to recognize you? What's the best way to think about what story you're going to tell?
So I generally, with my STAR storytelling system, everything's connected. So it's sort of like they all connected. So you've got your why, your who, your what, your where and when, and all of that. It's all connected as a STAR. So they all connect with each other. But when you're looking at what story it is, you've got to see what stories you've got, what your client needs, who they are, and where you want to take them. So those are the three main points for that. So you've got to recognize where they are now and where they want to go. And you are their Yoda, you are their Obi-Wan Kenobi, you are the one that's leading them to where they want to be. You're the one that's teaching them and saving them the time, the energy, the effort that you've put in to get in where you are. So it's like taking them on a journey. A lot of people call it the hero's journey. And Joseph Campbell goes into a lot of detail on the hero's journey. But it's much more simple than that. It's basically you are handing them your hand to pull them out of the hole that they're in. You're helping them pull them up. So you're just showing them how you're going to do that. And that's the story that you tell. And the story that you tell is guiding them to show that you know how to do it and you can guide them through it. That you've been there, you've done that, and you've overcome it, and you can help them do the same.
Yeah. I've seen a lot, as you probably have too. And for those of you that have seen many speakers on stage, some that you don't really feel are being authentic, write that in the comments now. I've seen many people on stage who, you know, you hear their story and it's so motivational and it's inspiring. And then you find out that it's not quite true. I know how important it is to me. What is your take on kind of elaborating on it to make it more interesting, or you know, what do you believe about authenticity in stories?
I believe it has to be 110% authentic, because the truth will out, and people find these stories that they find out that you've embellished. I mean, you can make it more interesting a little bit with a little bit of a joke or a little bit of colour. But if your story is told correctly, you don't need to embellish it. You don't need to make it bigger than it actually is. And if I find that these motivational speakers that do this, when you get home, it all comes crashing down anyway, because you'll leave the event and you'll be going, yes, I could do this, I'm brilliant, I could do it. And then life hits you in the face. Your kids want their breakfast. Your husband's had a bad day at work. You've had a bad day at work. Something happens and you're thinking, oh, well, this happened, that happened. And they can't actually live up to what they've actually told you. And you think, well, how did they do this? Oh, it's all right for them because they're this, that, and this. And life hits you in the face with an inspirational story, a truly true story that never goes away. That buzz never goes away, because you're constantly thinking, well, if she did it and she's got like this, that, and the other going on, and I've got this, that, and the other going on, if she could do it, I can do it. Or if he can do it, I can do it. And it's that smaller story, the truth of it will really resonate, and it doesn't have to be massively important. If it resonates with that person that is hearing it, that needs to hear it, then it is bigger than any embellished massive story that anybody else can tell. So yeah, 100% authenticity, truthfulness, and just don't try and make it bigger, because people will find out.
Yeah, you're a star enough.
You are.
Polly, you know, for anybody really, I believe that YouTube and video is one of the most powerful ways to tell a story. And I think, you know, when you focus so much on, oh, I'm going to be on stage, or I'm going to be on a webinar, or I need to make a presentation to a client or to my boss, whatever that is for those of you that are sat up here either watching or listening, you know, we think about the big story, but really it's the little stories every day that we tell. The social media profiles that I tend to pause on the most and stick around for are the ones that share like 1 or 2 minute videos that you really get an insight into not only their life, but also their expertise and who they are. That really is, I call it a heartbeat strategy for those of you that do want to be using video. What would you say about the little stories? Because we work so much on the big story, but what about the little everyday stories that can create connection with those that we want to serve or influence?
Oh, they're so important. They're what underpins the bigger story. So they're the things that can connect people to you. I use stories all the time in my trainings, little stories. There's some that are, you know, they're used metaphorically. So I just make up a story to use metaphorically. People know that they're a made up story because they're a bit out there. And it's the little stories that will help everybody on a daily basis. They're the ones that will get people to know, like, and trust you even more. And if you go online, and I must admit, it's something that I haven't done very much, to be honest, because I've been so busy with other things. It's on my plan for 2025, starting now, to get on TikTok a bit more and get onto videos and start telling more stories. But it's those little things that people think, oh yeah, I did that, and they don't feel so bad about doing it, or they just laugh. I love to share stories. I shared a story on my Facebook this morning that I hopefully will make people laugh. It devastated me at the time, but it will hopefully make people laugh. So yeah, it's just it's great to just share those little things and just celebrate the little wins, because for some people, just getting out of bed in the morning and cleaning their teeth is a win. If they've got chronic illness, which I've experienced, and that is a win that I never celebrated. I just bashed myself for not being able to do more. But once I started celebrating those little wins, I started to make more progress and think, actually, yeah, I can do this, I can do that. Next time I'm going to do that. And if you share those stories, a lot of the inspirational people that I watch on TikTok or whatever are these people that are just going through a daily struggle, like me, like you, like everybody else, just trying to get through the day sometimes. And it just gives you that little bit of, oh yeah, I can do this. And that's what's so important about these little videos.
I agree. And it literally can be one little tiny thing. I know Sue Parks, who's one of the amazing authors as part of this collaboration, every single morning, if you're following Sue, she walks around the lake near her house. I go walking with her at that lake every Saturday when I'm over in Texas. But every single day, every morning, without fail, she's walking around that lake, or she's doing something at home, and she creates a little video just on her phone, and she's just checking in. Hey, how are you doing today? You know, something that came up for me when I was thinking about what I'd share with you today is blah blah blah, and they're always really inspiring, and she just gets you thinking, and it's a couple of minutes, but it just, because she's so visible so consistently, and I think that's the key there, is the consistency. Because she's so visible so consistently, well, she's rented a space in my head, and it's reminding me, oh yeah, Sue said that. I knew this would come up today because Sue mentioned it this morning. So I think it creates so much connection with those that are really building that influential kind of energy in your life. And those of you that are watching or listening to this right now, you could be the one that's influencing and energizing the people that you want to serve and influence. Pollie, I can't wait for your masterclass, which is coming in the summer of 2025. We're thinking it's going to be around July sort of time. So give us a little insight into that as we wrap up.
Well, with the masterclass, we'll be having a very brief look at the STAR storytelling system. So we can go over the key points, the why, the what, and the where. really in depth, really sort of look at those and work out who you're serving, finding the right story for you to share with your client, and finding the way to find that story. It could be the most weird story that you'd never think would connect with your audience, but we can find that through that little masterclass. I'll give you the tips, the hints, and let you wild with your storytelling.
Ooh, that sounds dangerous. Wild.
Let them run wild. Yes.
Well, Pollie, I can't wait for your masterclass, guys and girls. Do connect with Pollie. Her details are there on the screen. www.thespeakersstoryteller.com. So whether you're looking to create little daily stories or one big story, make sure you come and check out that masterclass, and make sure that you buy the book. I'm going to pop that link up on the screen as well. Those of you that are listening in, you will find it in the description, in the show notes with this video. That you, once you sign up for it, at that link, that's the reason why not to go buy the book from Amazon. Buy it through www.theimpactcatalyst.com/change. When you buy it through our website, you'll still be buying it through Amazon. Amazon will be the company that delivers it for you. But the reason to buy it through that link is because you then get access to all of the masterclasses, the resources, the tools, all the things that we're going to be giving away next year as part of this amazing collaboration. You don't want to be missing that. If you buy it through Amazon, you're not going to get access to that. Buy it through our website, you will get access to that, because it means that we can keep in touch with you and let you know what's coming up and when, and we can send you a reminder, hey, Pollie's masterclass is coming up, make sure you don't miss it. So guys and girls, go buy the book through that link, and we'll look forward to supporting you and serving you and inspiring you to step up to that next level of whatever that looks like for you. Pollie, have you got anything you'd like to leave us all with as we finish up today?
Just start talking, start sharing with people that you know and you like and you trust, and just talk to them. And if you feel that you're stuck or you're wondering what story it is that you're going to tell, just try lots of different types of stories and just talk. Just start opening your mouth and talking, and people will appreciate you for that. That's it. Just start. Make a start.
Just start. All right, Pollie, thank you so much for making the time to be with us. I know you've got to shoot. That's the thing with catalysts. Everybody's so busy, like getting everybody together for this one day event. It was very, very rocking horse doo-doo almost, like getting everybody's time to be together for today, considering as well that this was an idea that came literally just 2 weeks ago. We published the book from concept to completion and published in 8 days. And here we are on the day of actual launch. And we're just so excited to be with you. It just proves what you can do when you're intentional, when you're creative, when you know others who really genuinely inspire you, and you have a desire to bring them all together to inspire the world in a bigger way. This is what can happen, and if we can do it, so can you. Pollie, thank you once again, and I'll be back in the next couple of minutes with our next phenomenal catalyst of change. I'll see you very soon.
Thank you.